Hey, welcome back to Limitless Take 5. Bishop Scott, Pastor Kev here. We're going to continue on in 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter, talking about the gifts of the Spirit. And today we're going to talk about the gift of discernment. I know it's one of Bishop Scott's favorites, so just enjoy and pay attention. Get some paper out, write it down.
Well, I believe wholeheartedly if there's anything that we're lacking today in the body of Christ, gifting-wise, within our own functionalities of lives, a lot of times as the average believer today, it's the gift of discernment. Okay. And because you can't really move in the prophetic until you have proper discernment. Mm-hmm. You can't really walk clearly in direction with God without proper discernment.
Come on.
And many times the things that we call discernment are not necessarily discernment, but we use discernment as the name for it, and it's really our own self.
Yeah, we spiritualize it. Yeah.
Because there's a difference between discernment and skepticism.
Wow. That'll preach.
And many people use skepticism and then call it discernment.
Yeah.
Like they'll get around somebody that they feel weird around and say, I just discerned something about them, when really it was a gift. It wasn't a gift of discernment. It was really their fear. The difference between skepticism and discernment is skepticism is based in fear. Discernment's based in love. Yeah. See, discernment's not about me seeing what's wrong in somebody. Discernment is about me being able to see what's right in somebody.
Yeah.
Me being able to see what's stopping and hindering. Me being able to see the potential, the destiny, the purpose, to be able to discern where and what is coming, something's coming from. Mm-hmm. And that's where many times we don't have the ability to today, and we need it more than ever, is the spirit of discernment for us to be able to know, okay, is this the enemy? Is this me? Or is this God?
Man, that's good.
Is the enemy behind this? Is it my own flesh?
Yeah.
Speaking in my own desires, in my own mind, in my own skepticism, in my own experiences? Or is it God? Because many times we're trying to walk out in the spirit by faith, but we're still operating by sight. Mm-hmm. We're still operating in our natural, and we're calling it spiritual because we're using our own carnal intellect, intuition.
Yeah, there you go.
Imaginations, and we're basing it off of experience, off of past thoughts, off of intellect, off of what we've known or what we've experienced or what we've thought. And now all of that is coming through, and now we're using that to spiritualize something that's not coming from a spiritual place, and it's not coming from God. And even if it's coming from a spiritual place, doesn't mean it's necessarily coming from God. Mm-hmm. That means there's flows that are coming to us. There's every spirit that's operating ain't the spirit of God.
Right.
In fact, many times that's why you have to be careful when it's tied discernment to the prophetic, because there's some things that can be called prophetic that really are not coming from the Spirit of God. And sometimes we're using there's people that are using the spirit of familiarity.
Yeah.
A familiar spirit. Mm-hmm. And that's a whole nother teaching. Familiar spirits. There's people that are astral projecting. Mm-hmm. Because now they have this ability to tap into spiritual sources that are not necessarily God. Like for instance, there was a time when Saul was wanting to get a hold of the prophet Samuel. Mm-hmm. And when he came, he said, I need to get a hold of Samuel. And Samuel was already dead and gone. And he calls on the witch of Endor, and he calls on her to bring back the spirit of Samuel the prophet so that he can prophesy and give him instruction. Wow. And now he's going to a witch in order to access the prophetic and the prophet. In fact, Samuel comes back. And when Samuel comes back, he says, what are you bothering me for? Well, it's because just because it's functioning spiritually, and just because it has access and knows the things of God, doesn't mean it's coming from the Spirit of God.
Come on.
The gift is subject to the prophet. The question is, who's the prophet subject to? Because just because it's a spiritual source doesn't mean it's the right one.
Come on.
And just because it's coming and there's things that are happening spiritually around you and near you doesn't mean it's God. There's people having dreams that they're blaming on God. There's people that are hearing things and experiencing things that they're accounting to God that God didn't have anything to do with. And it's how the enemy uses confusion.
Yeah, man.
Where the enemy can't confuse you, he cannot deceive you.
Wow.
The enemy always uses the cloak of confusion in order to bring deception. From the very beginning, he said, did God say
Mm.
to the woman?
Always questioning.
Because if I can confuse you about what God said, then now I can deceive you and tell you this is what God said.
Mm.
And you must know for yourself what God is saying, what God has said. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying
Right.
to the church.
Wow.
The question is not, do you have the ear? The question is, who are you hearing?
Hope you have a great day. Tune in with us for next week and we continue this study. And if you're just catching up, go back into YouTube and find all those ones and catch up with us. I promise you'll learn something. Have a great day.